heard them use that B word on our sisters as if they're calling that sister their lover. They use that B word like it's a term of endearment. I love you, you sweet. They're not using it in the sense that that B word means to us. The context of that word isn't what it means to us. But when we hear it because of our context, it sends shivers up my spine. Even to this day, that N word is unacceptable to me. But to them, like Dick Gregory said when he wrote that book, named it that, he said he wanted to use that word so much that it wouldn't have any meaning anymore. Well, to the new generation that embraced that word, he was right. But to the older generation that lived through it, he was wrong. Because that N-word still sends shivers up my spine. Because I know what we've gone through with that word. I know that B word. I know them calling our women that B word on the plantation. See, our young people may not remember that because that bridge to history may not be there for them, but it's there for me. It's there for you, because I can see some of you agreeing with me. So I know that that B word and that N word, it means something to us. It's a curse on us. It's a word that we should never use. But nonetheless, it has been used. It's been used around our children, and they have picked it up. There's no word that I hear our young people use. Like I was watching the Source videos last night, and I saw little Kim. Oh, that's an attractive sister. That's a brilliant sister. That's a talented sister. But I also know that sister, when she goes up to the executive producer, he tells her, if you don't do this, you're not getting your video. So sister is doing what can get her that video. Even Eminem came out and said that they make him say those things about his mother. They made him say those things about his wife because it's not going to sell. But not only that, behind all of this, this is a plan. This is a plan not just for our children, but for their children. See, this is what people of European descent haven't gotten aware of yet. This is why when you see things happening in Columbine like that, everybody's talking about it's not supposed to happen here. Oh, yes, it is supposed to happen here. And it's happening just when it's supposed to happen here. It's just that you're too ignorant to understand the plan. They have as little regard for their own children, their own mothers, their own wives, as they have for us. But we don't see that. When I say we, I mean they. They think. They've been bamboozled. In fact, of all of the people on the planet, folk of color know when we've been bamboozled. We just happen to be in a situation where there's not too much control over it. But they honestly believe that because of their skin complexion, they are superior. This is something deep inside of them, a psychology thing. Now, there are some that know better, but for the most part, deep inside of them, they believe that because of their complexion, it's not supposed to happen here, because that's a white supremacist comment by them. It's not supposed to happen here. In other words, there are places it's supposed to happen. There are places that it's acceptable to happen. But in Columbine, it's not. So much so, I developed an essay that I'm still completing, because there's still things going on that won't let me finish it. It's called From Columbus to Columbine, Memories of Malcolm. Chickens have come home to roost. Because what's happening in Columbine is nothing but what Columbus started. Hitler was nothing but a stepchild to Columbus. I could have told him Hitler was coming when I saw Columbus on the water. This is why this evening's presentation, the concept of this connection, is so very important. We've got to see the historical connection between this. And this is why Professor Clark taught us that history was a clock, and that history was also like a map, and that you can't get over on a historically conscious people. You can force them to do something, but you can't get over on them. You can't bamboozle them. Because they know the truth, they see the truth, but you just happen to have checkmated them for some reason or another. But there is such a connection between all of this that it's absolutely amazing that we don't see the connection. And that if we understood the conditions that we're living in and where we came from, we would understand why. I mean, look at Tiger Woods, okay? Now, I know, I can't even pronounce what he says he is, okay? But putting that aside, the brother got game. Nobody's beaten him in golf for the least at next 30 years. Yes. He may lose one or two here and there. We all have bad days. But there's nobody going to beat him now. We have taken over golf, which was supposed to be their sport. In tennis? Yeah, well, the last one really is one that brothers are ready to give them. Sisters say, I'm not getting on the ice, so you can have hockey. See, we like to be warm where we play. They can have the ice because we're not used to ice. We are not an ice people. Although if we would apply ourselves, we'd play well. But we are not like that. We are not really going to jump on the ice right now and play because that's not our thing. Any other game that keeps you warm, we're there. I mean, the closest we'll come to an outdoor sport where we get cold is football. And that's because when we hit each other so hard, we get warm. And that's a seasonal sport anyway, so we get warm in the summertime and the springtime. But we're at the point in tennis, another one of their sports, that we got to play each other. And not just play each other, but families got to play each other because there's no one that can beat the Williams sisters. Can't beat them in the world. Can't beat them in the world because we got the Olympics down pat. Got the Olympics, we got this thing here. Sister got the Triple Crown. She won every award that you can win. All over the world she's won. Tiger Woods has won all the awards all over the world. They said we couldn't run marathons because our bones were too thick. We were what they call it, exomorphic. We're heavy bone. We're big on the outside. Said we can't run naturally. So now what are we doing? We're coming in first, second, and third in the marathons all over the world.
Oh, the Boston Marathon.
The Boston Marathon, the New York Marathon.
They want to cancel it out.
That's it. And they don't show us when we're coming across the thing anymore. But you see, you can see what's going on. You can understand. And I'm trying to stay away from talking about superiority and inferiority because I've always believed that that's a spiritual thing. But I'll also tell you this, that if you take a people and you hold them down, well, let's take the opposite. Take a people and don't hold them down and encourage them to do well and they do well. That's great. But now take a person that you hold down and every time they try to get up, you hold them down. Yet in spite and despite of that, they rise. They're greater. We as a people, and they have bred us to become superior to them. They have bred us that way. If they had just opened things up to let those that can do it, we would make it, we would do well. But we wouldn't do it the way we're going to do it. And we're going to do it to the point where they're not going to be able to touch us anymore. These tests that they give our children, I'm one of the writers of the 6th grade social studies test for the state. Let me tell you something. These tests are the lowest forms of proving that you know something. To be able to take choices, to be given a question and be given 4 choices, and you choose the right question, you circle it in, that's the lowest form of knowing information. In fact, you haven't even proven to me that you're intelligent. All you've proven to me is you made the right choice. But now you take an equation, rate times time equals distance, and you give that test to a student, and they get out of 10 questions, they get 9 wrong. And in their frustration, they then go out onto the basketball court and start shooting hoops. And then every ball goes into the hoop. Every time that ball goes into the hoop, they're perfecting the equation, rate times time equals distance. So we may not have been able to choose the right answer on the paper, but we certainly go out on the basketball court and do the equation and perfect it every time. When you sing a song and you sing it well, you couldn't even start that without a fraction. You can't even know math without knowing the halving process of the quarter note and the whole note and the half note and the whole note. All of that is mathematics. And linguistics, you start with a G clef. Every musician is a mathematician, but every mathematician is not a musician. Got a brother like Errol Grant. Never studied music in his life. All he had to do was play a tune for him once, and he could play that on the piano as if he had made the song himself. We got people that are blind. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles. Come on, you got to see our greatness. And you've got to see why we're in the position that we're in. The only way they can make it is if our hands are tied. That's the only way they can make it. Because if you let us go, there's no holding us back. But now they're scared because they've been holding us back for 400 years. And we still rise. But what's happening in those 400 years that despite you holding me down, I'm still rising? In spite and despite of what you're doing, I'm becoming greater than you. Because in the time you're holding me down, you can't advance. Like I say, you put me in prison, you automatically in prison too. It's just that we're on different sides of the bars.